I was called out by you guys in the comments of my clips channel, and you guys were right. Partially. Let me explain. You see, a couple days ago, we posted this video running into an actual cheater in ranked. And this video is really just lifting from my Twitch stream where I'm playing a random ranked match against an Akuma player, where slowly over the course of the match, I come to realize, based on the strange occurrences happening in the match, that this guy is actually cheating with what I believe to be an auto DI script. I then go into the replay system in the game to observe the inputs and confirm my suspicions. But, you know, in this video, a lot of it is me fumbling around trying to actually use the replay system because I'm sorry, I always press the wrong buttons in there. And I'm not actually clearly explaining what's happening in the actual gameplay, and it's spoken from an assumption that you understand that these things exist in the world of Street Fighter 6. But based on the comments from you guys called me out, and I'll go through a couple of these comments here to explain the difference in perspective of what's going on. How does Brian know that this person is simply aware that he sets up the burning knuckle with the fireball for distance and capitalizing on it with DI? Honest question. He's definitely not cheating. Those were reads. Is this Integra? Integra, dude, you're a high-level player. I'm surprised I had to explain this to you, but we will. How is this cheating? I don't see it. Feels like it's ego saying, no way this guy is better than me. How is it impossible to predict your use of that move? I'm not trolling. I just simply don't know how you know for sure this guy's cheating, as opposed to simply understanding your strat and catching you. Now you just lost. Don't have to call someone a cheater when you lose. That is true. When you lose, you do not have to call somebody a cheater. I cannot disagree with that. The real pros are cheaters. Shrug, cornball, corn emoji. Sorry, I guess he's calling me cornball. Quit crying and find out how to win when the odds are against you. You're right. When the odds are stacked against me, you can find a way to win. Even when people are using auto DI scripts, you can still find a way to win. That is actually true. He ain't cheating. He's reading you. Just get around it. Be patient. Wise words. So how's a player cheating? It's not an actual player playing. We'll get into it. Or you just suck. Get better, scrub. Thanks for the advice. You think everyone cheats when you lose? LOL. I'm not sure where this accusation is coming from. I've been playing fighting games for over 10 years, and I've never once accused somebody of objectively cheating. So I don't do that. But it is true that this exists. This is why I'm saying that these comments are partially correct. There does exist a subset of the online gaming community that cries foul whenever they lose, when they can't seem to justify with their own ego and rationalize how they actually came to a loss, and they must accuse their opponent of cheating in order to rationalize that L. This does exist. It even exists in the Street Fighter community. I've seen countless posts from people in our Street Fighter who are losing honest games to people playing maybe some kind of unorthodox playstyle. They clearly aren't cheating. They're just getting beat, and they can't seem to understand that they're just taking an L. This does exist. So that's why I don't really sweat these comments too much, because based on seeing this video, if it's the first time seeing this video, if you're not aware of the greater context of the competitive Street Fighter community and the happenings in the Street Fighter community, I cannot fault you for getting that perception from watching this video alone. I did not go into great detail and eloquently explain what is happening in the clip. So that's all fine and good. I wasn't going to respond to this whatsoever until one particular comment. No, this guy isn't scripting. It would be frame perfect every time, not sometimes, not input specific or canceled by inputs. He simply read you several times, LOL. Luck or not, that wasn't consistent enough to be a script. Nice try jumping on the MK1 scripting bandwagon though. Be better. Now, I wouldn't respond to this if it was just the combination of arrogance and factually incorrect information. I mean, what is the internet but for being condescending while being factually incorrect? That is what the internet is made for. But the fact that you think MK1 has any bearing on any actions that I take on this planet is wild. Brother, I have not heard of MK1 since release. The last thing I saw regarding MK1 was this tweet, and I don't even like Twitch chart posting, Steam chart posting. This is the last thing I've seen from MK1. So to insinuate that I make any moves based on trends in the MK1 community, scripting an MK1 community, I don't know what the game even looks like in action. Do you? What are you talking about? Now I have to come with the actual facts and explain exactly why I can know objectively that this player is cheating in this game, and how you guys can use this information to determine if a player is cheating, and also to call out people who are crying wolf in the face of a legitimate L and just claiming that their opponent is cheating. So, context. This has been an open secret in the community for a long time. For over a year now, we've had proven examples of cheaters using scripting to gain an edge in Street Fighter 6. Very shortly after release, I have videos covering this topic. Broski has practically made a whole career out of investigating cheaters in ranked and beyond. He since moved on from that because there were just so many examples that it got boring to cover. And we've even had proven examples of cheaters using scripting to gain an edge in actual CPT online tournaments. These CPT tournaments are done online, so they can use the scripting to potentially cheat. In the World Warrior Asia East region, we had someone who was using scripts, I believe, auto whiff punish, and they were banned by the tournament organizers and called out by user code and permanently banned from the CPT for cheating. This exists. So how can you tell if someone is actually cheating versus you losing your own mind and you're starting to question everything and not be able to actually objectively determine if someone's cheating? Well, you can use a few factors to determine that. First, if you don't believe that this opponent I'm playing is cheating and you just think they have godlike reactions, that's the most easiest thing to check mathematically. If we look at the average human reaction time, it's 250 milliseconds, all right? That is according to a number of sources that 250 milliseconds is the average human reaction time. We can just use basic math, and I've done the math here, I've crunched the numbers already. One frame, which, Street Fighter 6 and most fighting games run at 60 frames per second. So one frame of animation is 1/60th of a second. Human reaction time is 250 milliseconds, which is 0.25 seconds. Therefore, if you do the math, 0.25 seconds divided by 1/60th of a second, that gives you 15 frames. Human reaction time is 15 frames. Now, there are some sources that claim gamers have better reactions, and they might take into account things like auditory reactions, which tend to have faster reaction time than using just purely visual stimulus. Okay, say maybe this guy is listening to every time I input a burn knuckle with Terry. Well, if he has gamer reaction times, which is reported to be around 150 milliseconds, that's 0.15 seconds, that means he has a 9-frame reaction time. In the video, he reacted by inputting DI to burn knuckle within 4 frames every single time. You see, no matter which measurement we take, the average human reaction time or the gamer reaction time, you can see that 4 frames is indeed less than 15, and 4 frames is indeed less than 9 frames. Therefore, we can objectively conclude that no human on planet Earth is reacting to anything within 4 frames. It doesn't exist. It's beyond our physical capabilities. So, that's an easy way to call out the reactionary test. But fighting games are not all about reactions. There's also a lot of prediction involved, right? So you could argue that I was using these moves in very predictable scenarios. Fair enough. I cannot argue that. I cannot tell you that I was not doing fairly predictable options. I can counter with the strategy, but let's go back to some other suspicious notes here. Let's go into the actual suspicious round in the replay and actually see what's going on here. So I have a complete list of every single time the opponent here, ISA, does DI. So this is the first instance we're going to see here of ISA doing DI. Now you can see here, this is a predictable strategy I do. I like to do Fireball, which will set up a spacing where medium burn knuckle can then be used to safely approach and potentially B+. So let's pay attention to how this interaction proceeds. I now input burn knuckle, and you can see here, there's the first frame of animation. 1, 2, 3, 4. Drive reversal occurs. Now, this might be the first point of confusion for people who are more casual fans of Street Fighter, might not understand what's going on here. That input is the same as DI. Drive reversal occurs when you're in block stun from blocking a move, and then do forward plus DI. Therefore, if you were trying to DI a move while you're in block stun and walking forward, then drive reversal would come out. So you could argue here that he's simply trying to do drive reversal, predicting that I'm going to be doing burn knuckle. Fair enough. Can't argue that. I will later, but can't argue it now. And keep in mind, he did this within 4 frames. Now watch the inputs on the left side. He does 2 frames of holding heavy punch, heavy kick, perfectly input at the same time. 2 frame gap, and then 1 frame of heavy punch, heavy kick. Again, okay, he double tapped the input. Fair enough. So he's going to go ahead and land the drive reversal, get the knockdown. Very strange drive reversal, because he definitely did not react to the burn knuckle. He somehow predicted the burn knuckle, and he could have just whiffed the drive reversal, spent 2 bars, and been punishable. But say maybe he just knows my game plan on the very first time we've ever played. Fair enough. Let's go to the second instance of him using the DI. This time he's going to DI my heavy kick. Let's take a look here how this plays out. So here's heavy kick. First frame of animation of heavy kick occurring. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. DI occurs on the third frame of animation. Okay. Maybe he predicted the heavy kick once again. Maybe his predictions are just godlike. Maybe so. Reacting within 3 frames, definitely not happening. Impossible. But pay attention again to his inputs. 1 frame of heavy punch, heavy kick. 2 frame of heavy punch, heavy kick. 2 frames release. 2 frames of inputting heavy punch, heavy kick. The end. The DI proceeds. Seems like he's having really good consistency of pressing DI, waiting 2 frames, then pressing DI again. Very strange consistency, but that's only 2 examples. Who knows? Generally, when people are mashing DI, trying to get it to come out on reaction, your inputs are going to have a lot more variance in terms of the gaps between the buttons. But it's only a sample size of 2. Let's proceed. All right. Here's the third example of him using DI. So it's a similar example. I'm going to throw the fireball, and then I'm going to input my burn knuckle. Very similar situation, so you could definitely argue that he's predicting the situation. Here's the fireball, and here we go. Burn knuckle animation starts occurring. 1, 2, 3. DI input occurs. Really good consistency of nailing that 3-4 frame window as soon as I input a move that is guaranteed punishable by DI. Very good consistency. Inhuman reaction time must be a prediction, but his prediction is very accurate at nailing that window. This is the third example. Let's pay attention to the inputs again. Heavy punch, heavy kick. Heavy punch, heavy kick, 2 frames. 2 frames releasing the heavy punch, heavy kick. There's the drive reversal coming out. 2 frames of heavy punch, heavy kick. So for 3 examples, he's reacted or predicted within 3 or 4 frames of me doing a DI punishable move, predicting it, if you want to give him the grace. Then he's also done DI for 2 frames on the first input, delay 2 frames, and then on 2 out of the 3 examples, presses DI again for 2 frames. He must be very accurate, almost like a machine pressing his buttons. There's always variance in how long you're actually holding buttons down. And if you're double tapping buttons, there's always variance in the gaps between when you press them. We're talking a 60th of a second. He's done this with frame perfect accuracy 2 times already. Let's proceed. Here's the 4th DI input. So I input burn knuckle. 1, 2, 3. For the 4th time within 3-4 frames, he predicts exactly when the burn knuckle is going to come out. Not doing it 2 frames after I input burn knuckle, not doing it 6 frames. He's doing it between 3 and 4 frames every time. And spoiler, he does it on frame 3 one time, or frame 4 one time, the rest frame 3. Like, he just does it automatically every time. And pay attention again to the DI input. 1 frame, 2 frame, 2 frames of holding the button, release for 2 frames, 2 frames of hitting DI again. Frame perfect execution every single time on a frame perfect prediction of when I'm going to do burn knuckle. Godlike. Godlike. Let's go to the next example. Here's example number 5. And at this point in the match, if you're not aware, I'm essentially throwing the game because I know now he's going to DI in command. I'm kind of just testing what's going to happen. This is the realization moment this round that he's doing DI on frame perfect reaction every single time I do burn knuckle. So I'm trying to confirm that he's actually cheating if you watch the original replay. So here I go. I see another chance to set it up. Here we go. Burn knuckle. 1, 2, 3. Frame perfect prediction again. That's amazing. And once again, 2 frames pressing DI, 2 frames release, and this time only 1 frame DI. There's a consistency with the gap in the button press every single time. Now, as far as things sometimes being 1 frame off or sometimes things not having a exact hold of 2 frames, there is latency that occurs that can disrupt potentially the frame perfect operation of scripts. But you can see that there's a general trend between reacting in 3 frames, holding DI for 2 frames, release for 2 frames, holding DI for 2 frames. And occasionally the second hold of the DI input will be off by a frame, or the initial start of the script will be off by 1 frame. That is still inhuman levels of accuracy with a prediction plus human execution. Right? And let's go to the last example here. At this point, I'm definitely just throwing the round. Here we go. Burn Knuckle. 1, 2, 3. Godlike prediction once again. This time only 1 frame on the input, 2 frame gap, 2 frame on the second input. There is always a frame perfect 2 frame gap between the 2 inputs. Every single time. Amazing, amazing player here. So, even though I think at first glance, anyone who plays high-level Street Fighter can immediately tell that those drive reversals were him having a script that was not programmed that well, he should not be executing DI while he's in block stun, because you're going to get drive reversal on accident. And those drive reversals, even though some of them hit, some of them also whiffed, right? The very first one whiffed. So if we go back to the first round, let's remember this whole sequence started off with him whiffing drive reversal mid-screen when he blocked a fireball at 90 seconds in the round, right? And he put himself into burnout. This is a terrible drive reversal. This is terrible. He had no way of knowing that I was going to do Burn Knuckle, and even on prediction, this would be extremely risky for someone to pull out at 1880 MR. This is not par for the course. This is not a smart play that someone at 1880 MR would be doing. This is an unusual, eyebrow-raising strategy and piece of gameplay right here. And as the match went on, the more consistently he would do mid-screen drive reversals, I could tell that something was wrong. This is not how you play the game, because it's just a bad use of meter and risky, and would potentially just get you killed if you weren't happen to be using a script that was reading inputs to determine when a DI punishable move was occurring. For example, if I had thrown Fireball there and whiffed Heavy Kick, I guarantee you he would have whiffed drive reversal. Now, you might be saying, but Brian F., maybe he just read you and has inhuman levels of execution. He does his drive reversals and DIs frame perfect with his hands every single time. Sure, you got me. It's only one game. How can I prove it? Well, I went through his replays, and the exact same day, a few games after playing me, he happened to play another Terry player and did the same thing, but worse. So here we are, the same day, ISA playing soon after me, another Terry player. And let's pay attention to his inputs again. Did you notice something? Not only does he have frame-perfect predictions when he's not getting comboed and in neutral, but he has frame-perfect predictions for when you're going to do Burn Knuckle in your combos. You see here? Here's the first animation of Burn Knuckle. 1, 2, 3, 4. DI input. Hold DI for 2 frames. Let go of DI for 2 frames. Hold DI for 2 frames. Godlike. Even during combos, he has frame-perfect execution and reactions to when you're going to do DI punishable moves. Now, I can play the rest of the match, but it plays out almost exactly the same. You can see in situations where he goes for Burn Knuckle or when he goes for Heavy Kick, he eats a DI. Even right here in this situation, this is hilarious. My man Obed here, he lands the perfect parry on the fireball and then uses that to get in. And you can see that ISA is already throwing a fireball, so he's in the fireball startup. And here we have 1, 2, 3, 4 frames of Burn Knuckle coming out. And while he's doing his fireball, he has 1, 2 frames of DI, 2 frame gap, 2 frames of DI. So he not only does perfect predictions with DI while in neutral, he also does it while getting comboed, and he also does it while throwing his own fireball. If this doesn't prove to you that he has a script running that reads the inputs and reads the moves on screen to automatically react and perform a counter DI, then I just think you don't quite understand what you're looking at this point. However, it is fair to say that too many people blame the game for their losses and might jump to the conclusion that the opponent is cheating. So I hope with this demonstration, you can find some kind of investigative skills to figure out if people are actually cheating. Things to look out for are very strange gameplay options, inhuman reactions, and when you check those inhuman reactions to verify if they were cheating or not, because it is true that people can just have good predictions, you need to look for consistent patterns in the way they execute and the way the timing of the reactions. This is always done 3 to 4 frames post the DI-able move, and the input is always 2 frames of DI, 2 frames blank, 2 frames DI, and then you kind of know that you have a cheater. And to follow up on that, to confirm that this account is very suspicious, I went back to their profile, and you can see some very interesting things about ISA. after these events transpired. So now if I view this account's details, he was at 1880 MR and up with his Akuma under the name ISA. Now if I view ISA's details these days, he is 1500 MR with Akuma under the name Supreme. And if you go through his gameplay history, he seems to have rebranded. He mostly plays in like non-ranked modes. So I don't know if he got banned from ranked or what happened. He was playing ranked 2 days ago and diamond ranked with multiple characters. And I went through a few of the replays, and it turns out he doesn't cheat in every single game. And some of the games, there's no DI scripting running, and he kind of just looks like ass, right? He just looks like not a great player. So it's something that they seem to be turning on and off intermittently in order to avoid detection. But it is true that DI scripters, auto DI scripters, and other scripters using other forms of cheating exist in Street Fighter 6. It's just the nature of modern gaming, online gaming 2024. People are cheating. It's just how it is. So hopefully this video helped you figure that out, and hopefully you don't bring up MK1 in my presence again. Thanks for watching.